What's up, guys? Alex here from Pokemon TCG HQ. This is just a quick video, but before I quickly delve into that, if you look on the screen and the video right now, you may notice that computer search is actually in the versus rewards sort of ladder, which is really cool of Pokemon. Gives a lot of players who might not have had the chance or the option to get a computer search in their online sort of collection so that they can play expanded format. It really gives them the chance to be able to do so you can really delve into the expanded format with a lot more options. There it is again. So I would highly recommend you guys actually playing online a bit more than I currently do, but yeah, it's something to watch out for. They've been really good with their versus ladder rewards as of late. So this video is just a quick sort of League Cup recap of my tournament that I went to. So I attended Sneak Attack Games for the London League Cup. It essentially is my local, and that's why I made the effort to make it there, even though I was on crutches and having to take public transport. It's not too bad, so it was a pretty cool tournament, and like I said, it's my local. It's only like 25 minutes away via public transport. But what I wanted to do is just quickly show you the deck I played, give you a quick rundown of my matchups, a couple of things that were really interesting with the tournament. But yeah, I'll just quickly show you that now. So the deck I played was this one right here that's already highlighted. It is Buzzwole Lycanroc. Many of you guys might have seen it already, but you would have seen Burt Walters play a identical list. So I played Burt Walters' list outside of one change. So it's a pretty standard Buzzwole Lycanroc list. Now, I mean, a lot of them don't vary too much. Potentially vary by the psychic attacker that you use, particularly for the mirror match or for other sort of matchups, or the tech attackers, as it were. The supporters tend to be quite similar, particularly with the items as well. The only change I made to Bert's list, which was almost ideal. He's been playing it for a while now. He obviously won Leipzig with it and came top 8 with his version or his list, was changing the energy switch to a 1-1 split of multi-switch and energy switch. So I'll just quickly give you my reasoning for that. It was the idea that I would less often be moving energy from my active Pokemon to my bench, one of my bench Pokemon. Of course, multi-switch gives you that extra ability to move the strong energy from your bench to the active as well. But yeah, the main reason for me was that I just like the utility of moving that strong energy, and it more often not was moving energy from my bench to the active Pokemon instead of from my active to the bench to maybe preserve energy, since maybe my active was getting knocked out, or moving between a basic Pokemon to a Lycanroc GX, which I had to evolve earlier without attaching energy or max Elixiring to. But it's perfectly viable to play 2 of the energy switches. I just like the extra utility of multi-switch. But this was the list I played. Like I said, it's pretty standard. It's been pretty well played now. At this particular tournament, a third of the field, maybe just a bit less, maybe even just a bit more actually, but we'll say a third of the field were actually Buzzwole Lycanroc decks. Like I said, a couple of them had 1 or 2 small little changes, but the general consensus is this was quite a sort of the list that we would be seeing when people were playing Bert's list, essentially. But yeah, I'll just quickly run through my matchups that I played through. So round 1, I played against a Passimian deck. It was very much highly focused on not the team play one, but the one that was actually enhances damage, or sort of damage modifiers against evolved Pokemon. So I think it's 30 more for each. Oh yeah, so your Passimians deal 30 more damage against evolved Pokemon. So they only played one team play. They obviously played Mew to be able to copy the team play attack. So it was actually quite a worrying matchup when I first sat down across my opponent. It was quite interesting that I think 7 players from the Essex area, I think it was 7, turned up to this tournament, and they all decided to play Passimian together. Really sort of just having a laugh, and actually with a couple of changes, I would have expected them, if they hit those sort of right matchups, to actually have done pretty well. They just had a couple of maybe unfortunate matchups or unfortunate draws, which my opponent did. So I was just applying early pressure. My opponent just couldn't really draw out of his poor position in both our games. Round 2, I played, I believe, Zoroark Weavile. So the list was quite similar to Adam Hawkins' winning list in Malmo, but the person I played had been playing Zoroark Weavile for a little bit now. But he did sort of move towards the puzzle build. Quite close games, maybe. Game 1, I think he was able to really just sort of set up his board, and I was just too far behind to really do too much. So I actually lost game 1. Game 2 was a bit closer, but applying that early pressure with Buzzwole, taking those early knockouts, targeting the Sneasels where necessary, really sort of swung it in my favor, and I was able to take game 2. Game 3, it came down to, it was just the fact that my opponent unfortunately just didn't draw too well. And the last time I actually played at Sneak Attack Games for a League Cup as well, where we had a similar issue. He was playing Vikabulu, I think I was playing Zoroark Glispod, and he just couldn't draw out of having a really sort of bad opening hand. But that put me at 2-0. Round 3, I played against a mirror match. Again, just sort of 2 really close games. But unfortunately, my opponent did make a bit of a misplay, which allowed me to get a Dangerous Rogue knockout off. And that essentially swung the game in my favor. And it's one of those misplays where if you make, you probably won't ever make again. But unfortunately for my opponent, or fortunately for me, it put myself in a position where I can take game 1, where I was already looking at quite a poor situation. Game 4, I played another mirror match against Jake Wolvin. We were just trying to copy each other's what we were doing. I think if there were moments where I would try and knock out a Remoraid or Rockruff, he would do exactly the same. And it essentially just was back and forth the whole time. I think I took game 1 just by being able to, once I knocked out both of his Remoraids, or Octillery and Remoraid, or maybe one of them, he couldn't get another Remoraid down. I was able to get my second one ready, I believe. It just meant that I was in a position to take the first game. Game 2, I think it just sort of swung around and came around, and actually he did the same thing to me. Knocked out both my Remoraids, which I had Octillery ready in hand, but it just ended up not working out. So yeah, that was my tie of the tournament in round 4. Well, I had another tie, but in round 5, I played against Carl Blake with Zoroark Garb. Again, quite an interesting matchup, because of course I have to limit the amount of energies I play just in case. Of course, he plays Garbotoxin, and those bursting balloons are really, really annoying to deal with. The math really checks out, really works out in sort of his favor, because then attacking with Zoroark. But it's just sort of managing my tools, managing my attackers, and then actually trying to sweep with Lycanroc GX where possible. So more often than not, I would sort of take an early knockout on a Zorua, put 30 damage on a Trubbish, sort of when he evolves to the Trash Lance Garbodor, I'm actually able to knock it out with Lycanroc using Claw Slash, because even if I didn't have a strong energy on Lycanroc, for example, which, because he played Enhanced Hammers, I believe, made it a little bit easier because, of course, it has 120 HP. But I was able to take both games 1 and 2, and that put me on a 401 record, which is great. And round 6, I just ID'd, took a little break, went around a corner and just play. I think we played some Cards Against Humanity just to buy some time. But no, that worked out really well in my favor. It was a really, really cool tournament. Didn't sort of expect to actually see so many mirror matches. But hey, that's what I've expected. I ended up being first seed. I think it is, someone did post it on Hey Fonte. But yeah, 402 record. And yeah, the amazing thing for me is that it actually pushes me over the 250 point mark to give me my invite.
Yay!
Yep, thank you. And but yeah, so that, I mean, I was already happy enough of that. The deck had ran well. I couldn't really complain. But yeah, I ended up obviously playing my top 8 match. I played against Bruce Kelf, also playing a mirror, but he had a Tech Mew EX instead. And similarly to my that was really weird. Similarly to my round 3 opponent, it came down to him actually having the advantage in game 1 and just slightly misplaying, which essentially gave me the option and the out to win. I think it came down to him having to take 2 prizes. I did have a Buzzwole active. He benched the Mew and the Sudowoodo, but he didn't bench the Sudowoodo. He benched the Mew. He needed to have benched Sudowoodo so he can max elixir and attach energy, so he can watch and learn and knock out my Buzzwole with Knuckle Impact. But because he benched Mew, he didn't actually have another 2 energy attacker on his bench, which essentially meant he needed to somehow hit 2 max elixirs, which were in deck. But he did. It just meant it was a lot harder for him to sort of stretch that far to grab the second max elixir to the Mew and attach. And then I was able to sort of take my last prize to win game 1. Game 2, I think he didn't draw too well. But yeah, it was one of those games where I was just able to apply a lot of pressure. I think I might be remembering this completely wrong, but that's sort of the gist of it. I do unfortunately remember the misplay, because like I said, once you see a misplay or even do it yourself, more often than not, you probably won't be making that mistake again. And fair play to Bruce. I think he won the tournament. He won the League Cup and Sneak Attack games last time. Got top 8 again. So well played to him. So in top 4, I'm paired against another mirror, against Rob Kinbram, and this is where my tournament ends. It's not that I lose. Woo! It's actually that I decide to scoop and to my friend as he was chasing his invite, and I think by pushing him into sort of top 2 at a bare minimum puts him really, 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 really close to his invite, which I essentially now expect him to get. So congrats to him. I think he did actually end up winning the tournament. I think essentially the exact same list as Burt Walters. Oh no, he didn't. I don't think he played a Mewtwo or Psychic Attacker. He played one Parallel, which he found as a sort of useful counter in certain ways against more decks than just one Psychic Attacker. But yeah, so congrats to him. I ended up essentially at a 5-1-3 record because I scooped. And yeah, like I said, I got my invite. This was a pretty cool tournament. I'm not too sure how many more tournaments I can really get to. I'm sort of going to focus on recovering, potentially making these videos for you guys, and starting a new place of work. So thank you very much for hanging around and just listening to me ramble on about my League Cup recap. Watch out for my next deck skeleton profile. Like I said, I find it more interesting to do deck skeletons than actually provide full lists. I'll try not to do Boswell Lycanroc next because the changes are quite minimal, but if people prefer it, I will. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, guys. I don't expect many of you guys to have lasted 15 minutes through this. Like I said, it's just me rambling. But yeah, thank you very much. Peace.